We have been talking quite extensively about who the disciple is. And we have said a lot of things about who a disciple is. And we have basically looked at 3 areas. The 3 areas that we have looked at are creation and how that gives us all the purpose that there is for a man can be found, a man and a woman can be found in what a creation story is all about. There is no addition, there is no subtraction. There is fullness in the original design of God. And then we looked at judgment. And judgment is an important place to look at because that's where all of us are flowing towards. All of us are heading towards. Every one of us, as the Bible says, it is appointed for man once to die and thereafter face judgment. And all of us are going towards the judgment throne. And it's important to have that at the top of your mind. It's important to have creation at the top of your mind. It's important to have judgment at the top of your mind every single day. But in between those two is the most important thing for us as believers. Everybody is created and everybody is going to face judgment, but Christians are separate because of this one thing. Everybody who calls upon the name of the Lord is a believer and is saved because of the cross, and that's the center of our lives, and that defines us as believers, and that gives us a lot of identity. And we have talked about that, and that helps us to see who we are. We are people built with purpose, and people who will be judged based on how we do it. And we are people who have a central helping area, helping a great helper in the cross of Jesus Christ, a great helper in the cross of Jesus Christ, helping us to go back and redeem our purpose and be confident as we face the throne. And then we looked at the second aspect, and we again looked at 3 areas. The second aspect is what you have. What do you have? Who you are, and based on who you are, what do you have? You have an incredible amount of providence. You have an abundance of providence because God created the world, and we're going to look at that again today. God created the world and endowed it with incredible provisions for everybody to flourish. Every single one of us. If we're doing it right, nobody should be poor. If we're doing it right, nobody should be suffering as many of us are suffering today. There are people who want to skew things and make sure that some are poor and an extremely small minority are wealthy. But that's not how God designed it. God designed that everybody should have an abundance of providence where they can flourish in what God has called them to be. And then with judgment comes tribulation. Judgment comes tribulation. We have tribulations as Christians, and we have tribulations. Everybody goes through difficulties. Everybody faces tribulations. Normal tribulations or great tribulation is coming. All these things are provided for us to prepare us for the judgment that is coming. And then we have, that's what we were looking at over the last few Sundays. We have the cross. The cross provides us with gifts. Provides us with gifts to men. It provides us with ministry. It provides us with all the beautiful things that Jesus brought to us as he came down from heaven. And this morning, as Pastor Victor was helping us to think about, to pray about healing, I just started to reflect about by his wounds we are healed. When the Bible says by his wounds we are healed, then I'm also reminded that help me to count the places that Jesus was wounded. And he was first wounded in the head by the thorns, the crown of thorns. Wounded him and caused him to start to bleed. And where else was he wounded? He was whipped at the back. He was whipped very sore at the back. And then they put him on the cross and they wounded his hands. 1, 2, yeah? And then they continued to wound his feet again, 1, 2, and then finally, when he had died, they wounded his side. How many wounds are those? Somebody count for me. But washule wame at Moab, so we older ones have to do it. How many wounds are those? 7. That's right. What does that mean? Complete. So Jesus on the cross, by dying on the cross, when Isaiah says, by his wounds we are healed, he bought complete healing for us. Now, the question is, why are we struggling with these things? Why are we struggling with sickness? If you remember the days of Peter, he would walk, his shadow would be carrying power to heal people. Why are we not walking in that kind of healing? Why was Jesus able to heal everybody that he came across? Because of the anointing of the Spirit that came upon him. Because there was a level that they were operating at that we are not operating at. And that's why we're struggling with these things. Jesus has achieved everything that he needs to achieve. We are the ones who are struggling. So that's a beautiful providence, and that's a call on us to work on ourselves, to pray to God for healing, to pray to God for elevation from one glory to another glory, so that we can begin to walk in such a way that the healing of God that was released by his complete work on the cross will begin to operate in us, that we can pray for the sick and they are healed. We have that power. As Christians, we have that power, but we might not be able to live it because of the sin that is in our lives, because of the level of fellowship with God that we are walking with him at, because of the amount of the Spirit that is operating in us. We are not able to operate in the fullness of the gift of Jesus Christ. But that is provided. That is available. The issue is that we are not able to tap into it. Yeah, and Paul talks about it when he says, if you are at a certain level, there is only so much that can be given to you. You have to grow to a certain level for more to be given to you. And we need a lot of that. We need to be salt to the world. We need to stop thinking about ourselves and start thinking about other people. We need to be light to the world. We need to stop thinking about ourselves and start thinking about God and how can we shine his light on this world. We need to eat of the bread. We need to stop feeding our bodies. We need to stop feeding our bodies more than we're feeding our spirits. If we're eating on that bread, we will prosper. Jesus has provided us so much by the cross of Jesus Christ. And we need to rise to the level that we can receive it. So those are the things that we've spoken about today. We are going to talk, and if this is who you are, and if this is what you have, what does that mean? That means that you belong to somebody. And the question we are asking is, who do you belong to? And we're going to talk about that for the next few sessions. We're going to be asking ourselves, who do we belong to? Whose are you as a believer? And of course, the first area that we look at is we look at creation. Who do you belong to as far as creation is concerned? And who do you belong to as far as judgment is concerned? Who do you belong to as far as the cross is concerned? And then we will carry on from there. And for us to start off, we're going to look at Genesis chapter 1. It might be that we will need to do a lot more sessions than this one, and that should be fine, so that we can begin to talk about this is what you are as a person, and this is what you have as a Christian because of the cross. This is what you have as a person, and this is what you have as a Christian because you are a believer in Jesus Christ. And today we are going to then talk about whose you are, because if you see a child walking around and they are naked, you would want to ask, no, mtoto ni nani? Why? Because the parent is doing a bad job, si ndio? Lakini ukiona mtoto ana walk around na dress up vizuri, you might also want to ask, na huyo mtoto ni nani? Because ako smart. You want to know, who is this parent who's doing such a good job? And it's the same thing for us. When you're walking around as a person, the question is always asked, whose person is that? Huyo mwenye akona baraka mingi hivi. Now, most of it is stolen if you're not careful. But every one of us is abundantly provided. We need to tap into that blessing. And people need to start asking, na huyo ni wa nani? Huyo ni wa nani? Na wanasema huyo ni wa Mungu. Huyo ni mtu huyo ni mtoto wa Mungu. And we then talk about which God is this. We are not talking about a small God. We're not talking about an idol God. We are not talking about a powerless God, not like the God of the days of Elijah, who was Baal, who was prayed to and prayed to and prayed to, that they would just do one thing, send some fire, and he was not able to send any fire. Just light a fire. We have made a sacrifice for you. Just send a fire, and he was not able to send a fire. But the God of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, with a simple prayer, without cutting yourself, without jumping up and down on the altar, without running around, without crying and wailing, Elijah says, prove that you are God by sending a fire, and a fire of incredible magnitude and power comes down. That is the kind of God that we are talking about. For those of you just coming, we are looking at Genesis chapter 1 as we talk about who's a disciple is. And we will read. Allow me to just read from start to end. And we're also going to jump into chapter 2, verse 1, 2, and 3, or something like that. And that should be the whole account of the first 6 days, first 7 days rather. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. Then God said, let there be light. And there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. The evening and the morning were the first day. Then God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters. Let it divide the waters from the waters. Thus God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God said, and God called the firmament heaven. So the evening and the morning were the second day. Then God said, let the waters under the heavens be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. And God said, and God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb that yields seed, and the fruit tree that yields fruit according to its kind, whose seed is in itself on the earth. And it was so. And the earth brought forth grass, the herb that yields seed according to its kind, the tree that yields fruit, whose seed is in itself according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. So the evening and the morning were the third day. Then God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and seasons and for days and years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heavens to give light on the earth. And it was so. Then God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. God set them in the firmament of the heavens to give light on the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from darkness. And God saw that it was good. So the evening and the morning were the fourth day. Then God said, let the waters abound with an abundance of living creatures, that is the seas, and let the birds fly above the earth across the face of the firmament in the heavens, the firmament of the heavens. So God created the great sea creatures and everything that moves, with which the waters abounded according to their kind, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, be fruitful, multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let the birds multiply on the earth. So the evening and the morning were the fifth day. Then God said, Let the earth bring forth the living creature according to its kind, cattle, creeping things, and beasts of the earth, each according to its kind. And it was so. And God made the beast of the earth according to its kind, cattle according to its kind, and everything that creeps on the earth according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, over the cattle, over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth." So God created man in his own image, and in his image he created him. Male and female he created them, and God blessed them. And God said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it. Have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over every living thing that moves on the earth." And God said, "See, I have given you every herb that yields seed, which is on the face of the earth, and every tree whose fruit yields seed. To you it shall be for food. Also to every beast of the earth, to every bird of the air, and to everything that creeps on the earth, in which there is life, I have given every green herb for food." And it was so. Then God saw everything that he had made, and indeed it was very good. So the evening and the morning were the sixth day. Chapter 2, thus the heavens and the earth and all the host of them were finished. And on the seventh day, God ended his work which he had done, and rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had done. Then God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because in it he rested from all his work which God had created and made. And that's the end of our first reading. And as I said, ukiona mtoto unaweza uliza, na huyo mtoto ni wa nani? Because you are curious about who is the parent of this child, whether for good or for bad. If they're looking very good, you will want to know who is the father, who is the mother of this child, who is really, really. And if you see a child who is not doing very, very well, you want to understand who did mtoto wa nani? Why are they like this? Why are they not well cared? Why are not well cared? You will ask him to know. Then another thing that you can also ask is, if you see something glorious, something magnificent, if you see a nice house, if you see a nice car, if you see a nice dress, if you see a nice pair of shoes, if you see some good food being cooked or served, if you see some event, if you see something happen, something that is nice and beautiful and glorious, you also want to ask, huyo ni nani? Ama whose is that? Whose motorcade is that? Whose house is that? Whose swimming pool is that? And that kind of stuff. Whose thing is that? When you look at the earth, the heavens and the earth, and how glorious they are, you also want to ask, and whose creation is that? Because it is really, really, really good. The only problem is that we take it for granted. We take it for granted, and so we don't acknowledge how great it is. We don't acknowledge that every single evening you can go to bed and you are sure that tomorrow you will wake up and the sun will have risen. You don't doubt that. You don't doubt that there will be light for you to go about your day's business. You don't doubt that it's a new season of rains, and rains are going to fall on the earth, and things are going to grow up, and we will have water. There will be electricity because the dams will be full. There will be food because the crops will grow. There will be water to drink because the fires will be filled. All the rivers will be flowing. We take these things for granted, but you don't acknowledge just how much it takes. If you think about it, the people who live in Nairobi, they suffer a lot because of water, because it's a man-made system. It's not that we don't have water in this country, but the system that we have created to deliver water from where it's coming from to the people's houses, every single house in every single estate, it's a man-made system. It's simpler than what God has created, but it does not always work. Think about electricity, same story. We have done an extensive work of harnessing the environment for electricity and distributing it across all houses, but we still have blackouts. Why do we still have blackouts? Because a man-made system is not accurate. But the sun, which is a lot more complicated than the grid, is very consistent. Hakuna siku tunasemanga leo jua imekuwa ama leo imeongezeka. Hakuna siku itafika itakuwa na hiyo maneno, and that will be because of the judgment upon the earth. The creation of God is so precise, is so perfect that you do not have to worry. Yeah, unless you are sick, ukikata mkono, it's going to heal. Guess what? If you drive a car, iende mahali ipate scratch, it cannot heal itself. And yet, a lot of engineering goes into making cars. A lot of engineering goes into making cars. Yeah. Ikipata scratch, wewe ukipata scratch, itapona, because you were created by God. And you do not even need to go to hospital unless you're sick. Unless you're sick with a disease that prevents you from, there's a disease that keeps blood from clotting. I can't remember what it is called. That kind of a thing is a big problem. Yeah, it's a big problem. But anybody who is operating normally according to how God created them, if you get any kind of a wound, if you get any kind of a disease, you have warriors that are built into the system that are ready to rise up and fight for you. The creation of God is so magnificent. It's so magnificent. Yeah. You will be reading a lot more about it and just seeing how God has ordered things so that everything is going according to its plan. Let's first reflect upon what God has done in this work. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Yeah. And then there is a story that goes on behind that until we get to verse 2, where it says that at some point the earth was without form and void, and darkness was over the face of the deep. But the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. So at some point the earth lost its form. And apparently, even the heavens sort of disappeared, because when you get to chapter 2, we're not even talking, there is no heaven anymore. And that is what is created when God is talking about the firmament that goes up and leaves the other one below. That's when the heavens are recreated. So something happens and it's not looking as good as it was. But then God is busy coming to make it right once again. God is giving us another chance. And when God gives us another chance, the first thing he says is, verse 3, let there be light. And there was light. And if there is no light, nothing else would have prospered on the earth. Everything else would not have made sense. So the first thing that we needed was light. And God divides light and darkness so that there is day and night. And day does not come because of the sun. Night does not come because of lack of the sun. Those things are supposed to govern. But day and night happens regardless of whether there is sun or not. Yeah, that's what we are shown at the very beginning. That God created light and He separated it from darkness, and the day and the light He called day, and the night He called darkness. And then the first day goes. Big work has been done. Light has been ushered into the world. And then verse 6 tells us that God separated the waters. Yeah, so God separated the waters and said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from waters. Thus God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. So then there you end up having the heavens and the earth. So there is water all over here, and there is water all over there, but then that's up in the sky, and this is down here on the earth. And then God called the firmament heaven. That building that you see up there, He called it heaven. So the evening and the morning were the second day. On the second day, He just does the separation, so that you have down here and you have up there. And then you have waters below, all blue, like you see in the ocean. And you have, of course, the blue that is coming from the sky up there. And it's also blue, lots of water up there as well. Then you have another day. verse 9. God said, let the waters under. Now he focuses on the earth at this point, on the third day. He says, the waters under, and let them be gathered into one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. So God now creates earth. Verse 10 tells us that the gathering together of water was called sea, and the whatever was dry land was called earth. Now God is slowly building what was once a deformed earth into something that is functional. Now you have something that is functional. You have light, you have heaven, you have earth, and on earth you have water and you have sea. Yeah? And then once the land is up and running, God moves to the next level and says, the earth shall not be bare. So he says, let the earth bring forth grass. And that is important. And then he brings forth herb that yields seed. Yeah? And the next one is, and fruit tree that yields fruit according to its kind, whose seed is in itself on the earth. Now, those details are not, those are not bad, those are not opportunistic details, those are not irrelevant details, those are very important details because you'll see them as you carry on with the story of creation. So God is putting order into this place. Now, so if there was no earth, there would be no crops. Now that God, if there was no light, it would not have been right. God is not confused. God is very systematic in the way he does it. He does not miss a point. He's not like he's creating something and forgets an ingredient and then has to come back and fix it. No, he does it so well. It begins with the light and then builds the heavens and the earth. And then on the earth he separates the water, and then when there is land, he creates the plants that can grow on the land. And that marks the end of the next day, the third day. On the fourth day, God focuses on the firmament above. And he says, let there be lights. The sun for the day, the moon for the night, and the stars. And the stars are created on that next day. Yeah? And then he says, let them divide the night from day, and let them be for signs and seasons, for days and years. So our years are based on these heavenly bodies. And God's original intention was that the moon should be the one that tells us the month, and the month then sum up to the year. But then when man had his way, in the days, especially the days of Julius Caesar, man decided that no, I don't want to work with it. And I think they had been doing that actually even before that. Man decided they don't want to work with the moon anymore. They want to work with the sun. And so they want to align their calendar according to the sun. And that's why we have a solar year. And that's why we have 365 days and 1 quarter every year, because man decided on their own accord that, or perhaps on their own accord, perhaps not, perhaps with the incitement of the enemy of God, the chief enemy of God, he decided that they don't want a lunar year, they want a solar year. But anyway, the heavenly bodies are the ones that govern days, seasons, and years. Summer, winter, and spring and fall. All these things are determined by the status of the sun. So these are the things that govern us. And then they're also supposed to give us light on earth. So the heavenly lights are built to light the earth. Just like these bulbs are built to light this building. It's not the other way around. This building was not built for these bulbs. These bulbs were installed for this building. The heavenly lights were installed for the earth, so that they can light the earth, so that they can govern the seasons on the earth. Yeah? Enough said. Now you have light, and you have the bodies that help to govern the light. Beautiful. Yeah? And we move on. Lots of content about governing day and night, and then God sees that it was good, and that was the fourth day. So the fourth day focuses on the heavens. So the earth is built, and it's got some, it's partially finished, and then God focuses on the heavens, and actually on the fourth day, he does a complete job with the heavens. Yeah? And then God comes back to earth. on the fifth day. And what does he do on the fifth day? Verse 20 tells us that let the waters abound with an abundance of living creatures. So the seas are filled with creatures. They can move around in them. They can move around in the oceans, in the seas. And then he also sets, now that we have vegetation, we can have birds flying around. Then they have some grass with which they can make their nests. They have some trees where they can perch. They have a residence. They have a residence on the earth. Yeah. So God provides the animals, the creatures that live in the waters, and the creatures that live in the air. So God created, verse 21, so God created great sea creatures and everything that moves, with which the waters abounded according to their kind. And he also created every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. That's a lot of work. That's a beautiful day. That's a beautiful day 5. And then God blesses them. These are the first creatures. And God blesses them. And he says, verse 22, be fruitful, multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let the birds multiply on the earth. And the evening and the morning were the 5th day. Now, all these things have been getting prepared for day number 6, which is one of the most important days in this creation. On the 6th day, God starts by creating the animals, the cattle, the creeping things, and the beasts that walk on the earth. Yeah. So verse 24 tells us, God said, "Let the earth bring forth the living creatures according to its kind, cattle and creeping thing, and beast of the earth, each according to its kind." And it was so. And God made the beasts of the earth according to its kind, cattle according to its kind, and everything that creeps on the earth according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. All right. So now the earth is built, and now we have some creatures walking on the earth. The climax of this creation is verse 26. And it says, "Then God said, let us make man in our image, according to our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth." So God created man in his own image, and in the image of God he created him, male and female, he created them. Then God blessed them, and God said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, over all the birds of the air, and over everything that moves on the earth." And then, so there you have government. There you have government. You have government. You have the order of things. So you have the birds and the sea creatures, and then you have of course you have the plantations, the plants. You have the crops on the earth, and then you have the soil itself, and then you have the crops in that, and then on top of that you have the sea and the air creatures, and then next in hierarchy comes the cattle and everything that walks on the earth. But at the very top of that, you have man. You have man who God created, and when God created man, he gave them governance over, dominion over the earth, over everything that moves on the earth. And that's beautiful, because God does not want disorder. So the first world, the creation of God was such that there was somebody to take responsibility. There was somebody to take responsibility. And God creates us in his image, according to his likeness. And he gave us this dominion over this earth. Yeah? And then God provides food. God provides food for the animals and food for man. And for man, verse 29 tells us, "I have given you every herb that yields seed." So herbs that have seed, kama terere, munakula, sindio? Yeah? And then, and trees which bring forth seeds. same things like guavas. Yeah. So guavas, good food for you. So every seed and every every herb and every fruit that is yielding seed was the original design of food for humanity. Then this is in Guinea. Those ones that do not provide, do not have seeds in them. The idea was that those are going to be eaten by the animals. So there are no animals that are eating animals, and man is also not eating animals. It was you as man are supposed to eat those which have seed, and everybody else is supposed to eat the ones that do not have seed. It's a very simple, very simple way to go about life. Yeah. That's what God says in verse 30. Also, to every beast of the earth, to every bird of the air, and to everything that creeps on the earth, in which there is life, I have given every green herb for food. And it was so. And then God looks at everything that He has created, and it was indeed very good. Very good in the eyes of God is very good in our eyes as well. And we look at creation. If you look at creation carefully, you will praise God. In as much as it is fallen, in as much as it is suffering from the effects of sin, if you look at creation carefully, you will give glory to God. Chapter 2 then tells us that God sanctifies the seventh day. So God ended His work, and for avoidance of any doubt, this is the day that we call Saturday today. And I hate that name. I'll tell you why I hate that name, but let's first focus on this. On the seventh day, God rested. He ended His work and He rested on the seventh day, and for all His work which He had done. And God blesses the seventh day, and He sanctifies the seventh day, because on that day He rested from all the work that He had created. Now, that seventh day is a blessed day, is a sanctified day. And I'll tell you why I hate that name. Is because every day of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all those days are named after gods, after fallen angels. And Saturday is named after which one? Saturn. And that's how the devil is corrupting, has continued to corrupt the creation of God. He started it in Genesis chapter 3, and he continues to increase his corruption in the earth. And one way that he has corrupted it is that he has, of course, as I told you before, he made us move from the lunar calendar to the solar calendar. That's one way of corrupting God's design. That's not God's original design. Another way that he's corrupted it is that he has tried to degrade the day that is called Saturday as much as possible. And one way he's done it is that he's called it after himself. Yeah, he's named it after himself, and has not just named it after himself, but he's also made it the day that ideally people do not go to work. People do not go to work, and people do not worship on the seventh day. And that was supposed to be our day of rest, but he makes sure that it's a day of laundry. He makes sure it's a day that you do as much work as you can do. Make sure it's a day of, as he's corrupted that day as much as possible. And yet that day is blessed. Yet that day is sanctified. The devil works to corrupt. So the major religions in the world are Christianity. Of course, when do Christians worship majorly? On Sunday. Sunday is a day that is named after the sun god. That's one of the gods of Egypt, the sun god. And what is the other major religion in the world? Islam. What do they worship? On Friday. Saturday is not supposed to be a day of worship. According to the devil, he wants to corrupt it as much as possible, so that Saturday is not a day of worship, so Saturday is not a sanctified day, so that kama unapenda happy, you can have happy on Friday, and Saturday is a corrupted day. And then you can have happy on Saturday, and if you're able to drag yourself out of bed, then you can go to church. If you don't go to church, no problem on Sunday. But the devil wants to corrupt the creation of God. And that's why I hate some of these things. And one of the things that I hate is how much the seventh day, the blessed day, the sanctified day of God has been corrupted by the work of the enemy. And the more you see this, the more you appreciate what's going on, and the more you want to push back from what the culture is doing. But that's not what we're learning about today. What we're learning today is that God is a great God. that God is a great God. If you walk around and you see a building called Muthaiga Square, and you see it is built beautifully, and you see it's been done in an amazing way. There was somebody who had money. My dad has been to this building, and he tells me that even the taps are branded Muthaiga Square. Who's been to this building? I've never been here. Yeah, so it's quite a building. It's quite a building. People say, and what's the glorious building in Nairobi? If you go to, I don't know, UAP, the UAP towers, or maybe I should say Parliament, before they get angry with me. Yeah, if you go to those places that are magnificent towers, those magnificent towers, those are resources at work. Ni mtu alikuwa na pesa anasema, I can build a deep foundation. And they build a deep foundation. I can have a beautiful finishing on this building, and they have a beautiful finishing of that building. I can have beautiful fittings. On this building, and that the sum total of what that wealthy person, the Parliament ilikuwa 10 billion. Parliament Towers, street pocket towers, was 10 billion. 10 billion. You avail 10 billion shillings and you tell the Chinese contractor, after you have given me my cut, the corruption bid, everything that is left, I want you to pour in as much as you can to make that a glorious building. Now, God had resources beyond measure, and that's why we have the world. If you look at anything that has been created by God and anything that has been created by man, everything is because of the resources that God has. God is rich. And for rich people, what are rich people all about? Rich people are great people. But nobody is richer except by taking what God has built and repurposing it to be their possessions. So every rich person finds their richness in God. So who is the owner of all riches? It is this God who created the world. Every great person, every powerful person, every mighty person, they find what they have in God. And therefore, God is the source. God is the owner of all riches. God is the owner of all wealth. God is the owner of all glory. God, and all of us have all these things, but they come from God. God is the owner of all beauty. God is the owner of all strength. God is the owner of all might. God is the owner of all respect. God is the owner of all things that men and women and animals have. Everything. It's mango season. I have eaten some sweet mangoes. I'm telling you, the mangoes are wonderful. Those mangoes, they find their glory in God. God is the provider of all beautiful things, of all good things, of all great things. That's what he created when he put these things together. What does that tell you about God? That he is a great God. His greatness is such that we cannot comprehend it. We cannot comprehend it. Now, I continue to say once again, the main problem that is ailing us in this world is that there is sin. Sin is the one that separates us from God, but God has designated, just like God created the world in 6 days, God has designated that man should have 6 days of years, of every day is 1,000 years. God has designated that the man should have 6,000 years to rule on the earth, and that's why it's not destroyed. That's why even when he destroyed the days of the earth in the days of Noah, he still asked the water to move away, water, because this earth has a designated amount of time for it to function before he brings rest on the earth. The 7th year is going to be a year of rest. And if you look further into the Bible, if you look at the Revelation, for example, you will see that Jesus is going to reign in the last 1,000 years of this earth. And that's going to be a time of normalcy. It's going to be a time when he rules this world the way it should be ruled. But for the time that we have, the reason why we have not been destroyed is because God has given us an opportunity to come to this earth and to prove what we are made of. And as we prove what we are made of, God shows us his ways. And we choose to say yes to God or no to God. But God shows us his ways, and he leads us according to his will. If we submit to him, then we can follow him. But if we refuse, we still can harness the beauties of this world, and this world is full of beauty. If you've traveled Kenya a little bit, you know that this world is full of beauty. If you've traveled this world a little bit, if you've just been to Meru, you've been to Muranga, if you've been down towards Namanga, if you've been down Mombasa Road and seen those beautiful mountains of Cumberland, if you have been, I don't know, if you've been to Kiambu, just towards Kinare, and you've seen the beauties of Aberdares, I mean, this world is beautiful. This world is full of riches. This world is full of riches. If you've been to the western part of this country, if you've been to Uganda, amazing country. Amazing country. In Uganda, you plant anything and it grows. And if you have tasted ginger from Uganda, my goodness, it's beautiful. If you've tasted pepper from Uganda, it sort of wants to kill you because it's so strong, it's so good. If you've eaten the bananas, they are flowing with sugar. I think I should bring us some bananas from Uganda or some. Have you eaten pineapples from Uganda? Have you eaten pineapples from Uganda? My goodness, those pineapples are flowing with sugar. God's word is rich, and God built it for that very purpose, because God is great. Because God is great. Now, let me see whether we have a chance to look at what else. I think we do have a chance to look at what else I wanted us to look at as far as his creation is concerned. But then let's talk about the rest. So what should you do? What should you know about this rest that God is promising to us? God is promising us rest because God does not want you to be stressed out. God does not want you to be stressed out because he's such a powerful God. He's such a mighty God. He's such a good God. He does not want you to be stressed out. He tells you that this is my creation and I'm the one who put it together. And despite how great and beautiful it is, I still had an opportunity to rest. And it's the same thing for you. It doesn't matter how much you work, you will never attain God's richness. It does not matter how hard you work, you will never attain God's level of glory. And if he, in all his glory, and did not need to rest, he did not need to rest, but he chose to rest anyway, blessed that day, and gave it to us. If he rested, he also organized the world in such a way that every day you have some time to rest. You have some time to rest. And every week you have a day of rest. A day of rest. And God is telling you, don't stress yourself. I'm the one who gives you these things. I'm the one who blesses you with these things. I'm the one. God created the world in such a way that you do not have to die overworking yourself. You do not have to die overworking yourself. You can work hard and you can enjoy the blessing that God sends your way, and you can take a rest. And when you take a rest, you take time to worship God. You take time to worship God because he's worthy of worship. He's the one who blesses you. He's the one who sends all the riches. If you are walking in darkness, it is God who sends light. If you are walking in darkness, it is God who sends light your way. It is God who lights your paths. It is God who lights or gives you the light that you need. You do not need to labor so hard. He can speak it into being. You don't have to work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. This 24/7 thing is another corruption, is another form of corruption. Working 24/7 or 24/7, those things, they do not consider that God took a break. He worked on the fourth day, for example. He had power to do more, but what does he do? He lets the evening take its course, night takes its course, and when it's morning, he starts afresh. He starts to work afresh. Take a rest on a daily basis. Take a rest on a daily basis and connect with God. That's how God created it. If you are suffering because there is only water in your life and there is no ground, talk to God. He is the one who is going to create. He's the one who is going to create the earth, a firm place for you to stand. If you are, and David talks about in one of the Psalms, I think it's Psalm in the 40s, and he talks, he's the one who lifted me out of the miry pit and set me on solid ground. It is God who can lift you up and set you on solid ground. If your farm is, if you have a place that does not have abundance, be it you're farming some fish, or you're farming some birds, or you're farming some cattle, it is God who provides abundance in these things. It does not take working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for you to prosper in the office, if that's your trade. In the air, if that's your trade. On the land, if that's your trade. If that's what you're busy with. It does not take 24/7 work for you to prosper. Take a rest at night, take a rest during the Sabbath, and God is going to bless you. He is the owner of these blessings. And as you take a rest and you bless the name of the Lord, and then rise up and you're working, you're not working from a place of insecurity, you're working from a place of assurance that I'm doing what God has asked me to do, and it is not me who causes the blessings come from Him. Yeah, if you're a farmer, if you're farming in some form of crops or something like that, it is God who blesses those crops. It is God who's going to prosper them. It is God who's going to give you the wisdom that you need so that you can prevail in what you do. Whatever you are doing, God is going to bless you, and you can rest. If God rested, you can rest, and you should rest. And I encourage you to start to consider this. Don't overwork yourself. Don't allow the system of the world to enslave you to the place where you cannot be in the design that God created, the example that He made for us. God has so much power, but despite the power, He does not do everything in one day. He does not say, "Let the world be," and the world was. And you know, He could have said that because He had everything well thought out. He did it in a very systematic way, and He wants us to do our lives in a very systematic way as well, for the glory of His name. For the glory of His name. If you do it any other way, you're trying to glorify yourself. You're not trying to glorify God. You're trying to glorify yourself. If you break His commandments, you're trying to glorify yourself. You're not trying to glorify Him. If you steal and kill so that you can be wealthy, you steal land from somebody else and kill them so that the inheritance does not flow to their descendants. You are trying to glorify yourself, but God can give you glory. It's God who owns all these things. Everything that we have is within the blessings of God, the provisions of God according to His creation. And so we should relax when it's time to relax, and work hard when it's time to work hard, all for the glory of God, because He deserves that glory. So next time we will take a moment to look at a few other things that talk about the creation of God and just how amazing, just how beautiful it is. But for now, I want you to remember that who do you belong to? You do not belong to the government of the republic. You do not belong to the government of the world. You do not even belong to your parents. You belong to God, this powerful God. This powerful God. This systematic God. He knows how to build something from bottom up. He knows how to raise a child from a seed and an egg, and He knows how to raise that person into a fully fledged human being. He knows how to do His work and do it well. And He does not stress about it. He does not rush. Yeah, He does not rush. He's no rush. Na ndio maana watoto wanakaa kwa nyumba sana. Yeah, they don't walk until I think 1 year or thereabout. They don't talk until 2 or 3 years. They don't go to school until 3-4 years. It's a long time for a child to grow. God is not in a hurry, and God wants them to relax. God wants them to enjoy. God wants them to enjoy love. God wants them to be loved, so they can love. And the design of God, if you can just understand the design of God and find rest in the design of God, you as a disciple of God would then be able to be successful in your life of discipleship. If you do not understand that, if you think that you are at the mercy of so and so, if you think you are at the mercy of the bandits, if you think you are at the mercy of the government or the revenue authority or this thing, if you think you are at the mercy of these worldly people or worldly powers, you will suffer. But if you look at the power of God and you recognize that this is who your Father is, you will have a different way of living. You will be confident. You will be bold. You will work hard. You will rest well. You will worship well. You will glorify God well when you're resting and when you're not resting. For He is a good God and His name is to be glorified. So